We ask all of this through your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
My name is Mike Bolton. I was raised right here in Savannah, and I'm a member of Blessed Sacrament Church. This year I helped organize a pilgrimage. It was our second year. It was in keeping with Pope Francis's call for Pilgrims of Hope. Included 10 miles of hiking. We started with Mass at St. James Church. We hiked from St. James to Blessed Sacrament, where we had adoration and prayed the Rosary. Then we went to Sacred Heart Church, where we did the Stations of the Cross. And we finished our pilgrimage by visiting the Cathedral Basilica of St. John the Baptist, and we prayed the Rosary there. We had 26 people that joined us this year. We did this on the Monday after Palm Sunday, so the Monday of Holy Week, and it was just a great way to start off our Holy Week, praying for the Pope's intentions, for our own personal needs. I had always heard about pilgrimage growing up and never really paid a whole lot of attention to it. And a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, John Bunker, was going to go back and do part of the Camino for the second time. And he said, why don't you go with us? I'd never done any, multi-mile hikes, especially on consecutive days. But that evening, my wife says, you ought to consider doing that. I started hiking a lot and trying to get ready. And then things happened, and John wasn't able to do it that year. So I still was interested in this idea of a pilgrimage. Deacon Jerry Clark here at Blessed Sacrament had just completed maybe his first Camino, and he was doing a presentation on his trip, which John and I attended, and it was pretty exciting. So just kept walking, but things never really worked out so that we could do the Camino. And I thought, well, what can I do locally? And I started seeing, the pilgrimages. There was a bishop in Kansas named Gerald Finke who was doing a 19-mile pilgrimage from one church to another that had been renovated and restored after a fire. And that inspired me. And I started looking at other pilgrimages, and I thought, well, we've got holy sites right here in Savannah. I actually had about 8 or 9 guys that we were doing a lot of hiking together, and we all started talking about doing this pilgrimage. So last year we did a pilgrimage of peace. You don't have to look far to see that our world isn't breaking out in peace. So we need all the prayers we can to try to pray for peace. And so that really worked out well. We had about the same amount of people. We had 27 that year. Everything went very, very well. And so we decided to do it again this year. We kind of see it evolving to where we can advertise it in all the different parishes. There's a few logistical things to work out. So that's where we would like to get to, where this is something that somebody that maybe they're not able to go somewhere for a pilgrimage, but maybe they could do it right here in their own backyard. Our age range was from 20-somethings to 70-somethings, so it was really interesting to see how everybody was able to keep pace with one another, and we didn't have any issues with anybody making the trip. We kind of joked about offering any pain and blisters and things like that up to God. Like I said earlier, we want to see it grow, but we did not advertise it simply because we were on some public streets, with traffic and that sort of thing. So we wanted to make sure that we're safe, we're doing this safely, and we want to make sure that we're following any rules that we need to follow with regard to that. Parishes have been really, really fantastic at supporting this effort. We're going to try to make this pilgrimage available to anybody. This year in particular, we had one of our former members who had always made the hikes with us. This year he couldn't do it physically, so he joined us and then just drove to the different sites, which worked out really, really good because it gave us an extra vehicle. We'd like to really encourage anybody that thinks that they might want to be part of this. I would encourage you to go ahead and just start walking a little bit and getting a few miles in and getting accustomed to a little bit of a walk. The nice thing about this pilgrimage is that we have stops along the way. We have restroom breaks along the way, snacks, and it just really makes for a great day. And it's a wonderful way to be with old friends and make new friends.